Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build at Home. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and I'm coming to you from my home, as is our next guest, who I am beyond thrilled to talk to. But first, before we get started, something incredibly important. Kids in need have missed more than 800 million meals due to school closures. With NoKidHungry.org, we're helping schools and community groups find new ways to feed these kids, but we need your support. Now, I know it's super hard out there, but if you happen to be someone in a position to give a little bit, then I would urge you to take a look at NoKidHungry.org to see some of the amazing work that they're doing to help feed these kids. All right. Thanks, guys. Our next guest is a Grammy Award winning singer, songwriter, and actor. And in just a few short days, you can catch her starring alongside Will Forte, Maya Rudolph, Martin Short, Terry Crews, Jane Krakowski, and Ricky Gervais, just to name a few, in the fantastic new animated film, The Willoughbys. The movie premieres this Wednesday, April 22nd on Netflix. It is genuinely wonderful. Speaking of genuinely wonderful, please welcome our next guest, the crazy talented Alessia Cara is here, everybody. Alessia, hello.
Hey, that was a great intro. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I
I
feel
thank
really
you very
good about
much.
myself.
Oh, you did all the stuff that made that great. So thank you.
Oh,
And thank you for being here or there, as it were. It's
yes.
super awesome to have you on the show. And I'm excited to talk to you. Congrats on this film, A Dream Realized. We're going to get into it. Super excited to dig into it. But first and foremost, of course, just how are you? How are you holding up? How is life on the inside? How's quarantine treating you? Are you doing all right?
Doing okay, yeah. I think it depends on the day. Some days are a little bit tougher than others. I think, you know, it's very easy to worry in this time. It's not the easiest to like stay calm, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm trying to like, find different things to do and see the silver lining in all of it and see it as a time to, spend with my family and do things I normally wouldn't have time to do, like cook and watch movies that I didn't get to watch or read books and stuff. So it's been all right.
I wanna dig into all of those things, but I saw you, just this past Friday, you were, performing, I think it was Billboard Live at Home series, right? How'd that
Yeah.
go?
It went well. My internet connection wasn't the greatest, so hopefully it'll work better now. But I was like, people were having some trouble like hearing
Yeah,
me. But other than that, it was fun. It was cool. We raised some money for a good cause.
it's pretty amazing. You also did, Lockdown Live for Global Citizen, and then just talking about No Kid Hungry at the top, you sang some nursery rhymes for them recently, which was really cool as well, and I was curious, just, like, as someone who, like I think it's almost been a decade now, it's, like, nearly 10 years ago, you got your start just kind of singing into the internet. How have these at-home concerts felt different, or have they felt different? Does it kind of feel like a return to form? How has it felt doing all these things?
It's definitely a strange world. I mean, I am
Mm.
used to singing to cameras a bunch because like you said, I got my start doing that. But this is different because it's live, and when
Mm,
usually my version of performing live is in front of people and you can feed off of energy, but you're just kind of singing to a screen with comments popping up, and it's sort of scary. I mean,
yeah.
I find it very difficult to like talk to a camera not having any person respond. It's a strange thing, but I think it's great that we get to like do our part as artists and like provide some entertainment for people at home and hopefully make people's days a little bit easier, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if the comments are any indication, you're doing exactly that, and so that's very cool to see. Something I've been asking every artist that I gotten a chance to talk to lately is like, has this experience, like, have you seen it impact yet how or what you write about, or just in general, like how you behave creatively? Have you even felt creative with everything going on? Like, how's that part of your brain been sort of behaving these days?
I guess on one end it's a little challenging because there's this whole lack of new experiences, and
Yeah.
so the only thing you can pull from is self-reflection, which actually you can find a lot in there if you really look for it. So I think I've been having fun with like digging really deep into my thoughts and like since it's such a transitional period and there's a
Mhm.
lot of uncertainty, there's actually a lot of emotion that comes with that feeling. So I think just like pulling from that and like writing about this in between space we're in has been sort of interesting. But I would like to get to like real experiences again very soon because
Yeah.
that's a lot easier to write about.
For sure, for sure. You mentioned just a moment ago, you've been watching tons of stuff, cooking a lot of stuff. That's the big question is what have you been watching? You know, as someone who's got this wonderful film that's going to come out, a lot of people are looking forward to watching that. What are you escaping with? What are you watching?
So I've been watching a lot of Netflix, as we all are. It's been a lifesaver. But I just started the show called Money Heist. I don't know if you've seen it.
Ooh, I've seen the thumbnail for it. I haven't watched it yet.
You should. You
Okay.
should. Yeah, the thumbnail caught me too, and my family is already like way ahead of me, and they're like, "You got to see this." But it's so good. It's like, I mean, it's the title, Money Heist. It's about
Yeah.
a money heist, but it's in Spanish, overdubbed, but really love it. and then I'm kind of like on the Tiger King tip as everybody else is as well. It's really good. I'm not even finished it yet, but
How far into that madness have you descended? How many episodes have you watched so far?
I think I'm on episode 6. I know there are 7. I think now there are 8 though. There's a new one that
Yeah,
just
they
like
put out like a post-show Joe McHale interview, some of them and stuff, which is all right. But like the real meat is
is in
those
the
first 7. Yeah,
okay. So I'm
you're right in
on
the thick of
episode
it.
6, and what a ride. I did
Yeah,
not think it was gonna take that turn. It's
nobody did. Yeah,
yeah, it's insane.
it's one of those things where you think you know it's what that show is about for like 10 minutes, and then something new pops up, and then you think okay, well then it's about this, and it's like nope, not that either. There's 18 other things that this show's
It's
about.
about exactly.
It's wild. Yeah.
It's very wild. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. I've been trying to describe it to my mom. She's like, "What's it about?" I'm like, "I don't know. You have to watch it. I don't even know what it's about."
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas
it's like
Money Heist, 2 words, you know what you're getting into. Tiger King, you have no idea what it is. Like, the
yeah.
title is not at all applicable, really. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned, cooking a lot. I saw on, Kelly and Ryan, you were talking about your hot wings that you made, which looked really good.
Mhm.
What's, like, become your go-to meals? What are your, like, "I gotta eat dinner tonight, what are we cooking?" Like, what's your favorite thing that you've tried so far that you've made?
Well, this was my mom's invention. I can't take credit for it, but she basically like folds pizzas and then puts them in like a deep fryer, and they come out like these like little pizza hot pockets that are fried and fluffy and delicious. They're so good. You have to
That's
try them. They're amazing. And we've like had them way too many times already. They're so bad for you, but so good. And yeah, it's like a little pizza pocket that's like fried and doughy and amazing.
okay, so walk me through it's pizza dough, I imagine, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as if you're making a regular little mini
Make a
pizza,
regular okay.
like a personal, not even like smaller than a personal size, like that
Right.
small. And
Okay.
then you put, your sauce, whatever you want on it, and then you fold it. Make sure it's like totally closed around, otherwise it'll
Right.
pop open.
Pop open, yeah.
Yeah. So then you like squeeze it down, put a lot of hot vegetable oil in a pot
Yeah.
essentially, and drop it in there, and
Oh,
until it'll just like grow, and they get huge, and then you just eat it, and it's
it
delicious.
sounds like a delicious magical combination of, like, an empanada and, like, a hot pocket and, like, a
Absolutely.
calzone, like, all
Mhm.
rolled into one happy
Exactly.
little food pocket. That sounds great.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're so good. I don't know if you like pizza, but you should definitely try it.
I first of all, I haven't met someone yet who doesn't like pizza, but even if you don't, that sounds like something anyone could enjoy, frankly. That
That's true.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's just bread. How do you not like bread, really?
Yeah, who doesn't like bread?
Yeah.
Um, I've been, talking to a lot of artists, especially, those who make music that so many fans, listen to and find comfort in, and I think you definitely fall in that category if you look at all the feedback and a lot of the comments you get. A lot of people love your sound and your voice, and they're turning to it, and they're finding comfort in it. Is there a record or an artist that you turn to that like you can always count on that when things are crazy, like I'm going to listen to this record right now. This is going to help me center myself. And that's like your go-to like space. Does that exist?
Totally, yeah. I think it's like a mixture of different artists, but
Mm,
Coldplay, Chris Martin's
mm,
writing is like phenomenal. But Coldplay has always been a band that I go to, especially the earlier stuff. And also, they just put out a record recently that's so good, and it's
mm,
it's very socially conscious, and it's just great. It's really great to listen to calm you down in these times. I think it's really
mm.
beautiful and inspiring, and I can always count on Chris Martin for that like ease.
Yeah, it blew me away the other night. He was playing Yellow, and he said in his little introduction on like the big concert that was on TV, he was like, "This song's about 20 years old," and I was like, "What?" Like I immediately, I forgot everything else that was going on around me. It was like that scene in Ratatouille where like the camera zooms in and he's suddenly like a child again. He like said it was 20 years old, and like my whole world stopped. It blew my mind.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
couldn't
I
process
can't
how
believe
long those guys have been around.
I know,
Um,
seriously.
very, very cool. Well, look, I am we're not done, but I just wanted to stop and say just like thank you for sharing all those experiences and letting us get a little look into what's going on your side. I really appreciate that. And I'm happy that you're doing all right and that you're safe and you're healthy and everyone around you seems to be like that's what you want to hear. So like cheers, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
But let's talk a little bit about this movie because it is genuinely fantastic. I got a chance to watch it a couple of nights ago and I absolutely loved it.
thank
And
you.
I can't talk about this movie without bringing up the story on how you came to actually be in it and play Jane. For those that haven't heard it yet, that aren't familiar, how did this all come together for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a interesting story. I feel like a lot of the things I've done in my career have come from manifesting in some way. So this particularly, I was on Jimmy Fallon, and he just asked me like, "All right, like, let's just make a wish. Like, what do you want to do in the future? And I was like, I want to be in an animated film. And we kind of just put it out there. We did like a whole little ritual just for
Yeah.
fun. I didn't think obviously anything would come of it. But shortly after, not too long after, I got an email from Bronze Studios and they're like, hey, we saw your interview. We have this movie coming up and this character that we think would be perfect for you. Do you want to play her? I was like, yes. I read the script. It was so funny. It was so great. And then I saw the cast that was part of it. I'm like, this is, I don't even belong in this thing. Like, this is crazy.
Yes,
It was
you do.
such an
Yes,
easy
you do.
yes. Oh, thank you. But it was a
Yeah.
very easy yes. I was like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Of course, and it's so amazing because I say that stuff all the time. I've said it on the show before. It's why I never miss an opportunity, even this one right here, to say at some point we're going to interview Dwayne the Rock Johnson on this show. It's a matter of time and scheduling. I just keep putting it out there.
There
What
you
was
go.
what was your reaction when it worked? Because like it happened pretty fast. These things you have to sort of think positively, like you said, and put it out there and manifest it. But it happened pretty fast. Like that almost never happens. Like it turned around really quick. What was when you got that phone call? Did you think it was a joke? Did you like believe it?
Definitely, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just one of those things. I mean, I always just like to just fake it till I make it. I think that's the truth because I am
Yeah.
the most like self-deprecating person. I'm always like in my personal life, I don't have the best luck and I'm like very negative in that way.
Mm.
But then when it comes to my career, I've always just like said stuff, not really thinking much of it. And that's always the stuff that comes true. So I
Yeah.
always think like you got to just don't think don't think about it, just like say it, leave it, let it say, and that's always the stuff that'll come to you when you least expect it, when you least think about it,
Yeah.
because I'm like so I overthink everything in my personal life and that never works out, so I got to start applying the career stuff to the life stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You've tested the theory here in the career world. Now you just gotta move it over there, do it in the
Exactly,
personal world, be perfect. You'll be all set.
exactly.
So first film, first animated voiceover, huge deal. Were you nervous at all? How did you prepare? How'd you get ready? You read the script. What else did you do?
You know what? It was one of those things I didn't know what to expect, so I just jumped in. I didn't have
Yeah,
any actor friends that I could turn to, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Again, try not to think too much about it. But it
yeah,
was great because I felt like there was less pressure that way, just going
yeah.
into it sort of blind. And thankfully, like the creators of this whole thing were there, whether it was through Skype or in the room, and they were like guiding me through it and sort of teaching me the ways, which was really fun. So
Very
it
cool.
worked out really well.
Yeah, and like ultimately, at the end of the day, this is your first like experience like this, but also you're a musician. You've been behind microphones and booths for years now, so like
Yeah,
technically the
exactly.
landscape shouldn't have been too crazy. But
Mhm.
what was there like? What was like the biggest difference or surprise of the process?
Um, I guess I always knew that animation took a long time. That was something I'd kind
Mm,
of had knowledge of, but you don't really realize how long actually it takes.
right.
I started filming 3 years ago,
Wow.
so it's crazy like how long it takes and how nuanced everything is, and like it's just crazy because even like the script evolves and the character evolves. Like
Right.
she started as a totally different person than she is now. And so you have to adjust the script over time to fit that. So like I think her age was different when we first started. She started like as a 7-year old and then they changed it to 12 or something.
Mhm.
And so now it's like I don't know, it just evolves. And I didn't realize how much time that took and how much work goes into that evolution, right? So
That's
it's crazy.
crazy. As it was changing, would they call you back in to like redo certain parts and like, hey, we modified this, so now we kind of need you to do this scene over again, but like this way now. Like, did that happen often, or was it more like you would change as they would change? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of that. They would have like some highlighted parts of the script I had already done, and like, hey, could
Mhm.
you read these? And yeah, it was a lot of that back and forth of like, hey, could you? And it was crazy because they kind of had to chase me around the world because I was touring too, which I feel so bad about because I just was always in a different place. So I think that's also why it took a while too because I was like traveling everywhere, but we made it work.
That's wild. So would they like find a location that was where whatever like place you were touring and they were like, okay, there's a studio here, we can get Alessia in on Tuesday or something. Like how did they follow you around the world? Did they send you gear? Like how did that work?
Well, yeah. So Chris Pern, the director, the main guy in this whole thing, who's a genius. He like came to a lot of the cities that I was performing in, and found a studio and would be there with me, which was so helpful and so
Wow.
gracious of him to do. But then sometimes I would follow them. I'd meet them in places. It was kind of like a back and forth of
That's
like
amazing.
working out the long distance relationship for 3 years. But it was great.
Wow.
It worked out.
That's an incredible process. I don't know that I've heard, specifically that one before where they've followed you all over the globe to get it done. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um, traditionally, and I think I know based on that story, I know the answer to this, but like traditionally, when you do an animated project for a million reasons, you never really get to meet or work with your co-stars. Just the nature of how these things are put together, the amount of time, yada
Yeah.
yada. Did you get a chance to talk to at any point any of your stars, Will Forte, Martin Short, Maya Rudolph? Did your paths cross for any reasons serendipitously somehow throughout any of this, or no, not yet?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately, it's such a tease because you're in a
yeah,
movie with them, and it's like in the movie, I'm like talking to them, but I have no idea. Like I've never had a conversation with them. It's such a tease. I'm such a huge fan of theirs too, and I had my fingers crossed for the premiere, but unfortunately, obviously, that couldn't happen. So
yeah.
hopefully, we'll get to do something again, or I don't know, at some point in the future, because I would love to talk to them. I think they're so great. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. What was it like? I mean, you talk about 3 years in the making. What was it like the first time you saw have you seen it? I assume you've seen it by now.
I have, yeah, I've seen a
Okay.
few different versions, which is kinda cool. Like
Oh,
the
really?
unfinished animated, yeah, like some of the animation wasn't done yet, which is really cool to watch too, actually.
Very, very what was it like the first time you saw, like, it all kind of come together and you saw, like, your character brought to life and your voice through this little adorable red yarn-haired creature and all these different things. What was it like to witness that?
It's crazy. It's such a trip. I mean,
Yeah.
you like I guess when it's you, it's hard to one like separate yourself from that, but then at the same time, it's so crazy to see this thing that was once just a drawing, like
Yeah.
now a person who has like their own personality, and like your voice is the vessel for that now. It's such a weird thing to process, but so cool. It's like one of the coolest things I've ever done.
Yeah, well, I can't say it enough. It's really just a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited for the rest of
Thanks.
the world to see it. We're coming in the home stretch, so I got to wrap things up. But it's April 22nd. It's going to be on Netflix. Everyone can see it. The Willoughbys. I think everyone's going to be talking about it. It's so much fun. Before we get out of here, I want to ask one last question. This whole thing began with you putting a wish out into the universe, and like. Let's contextualize this question. Obviously, right now, the primary wish is everybody gets the equipment they need and everybody's safe and we get to return to normal. That's the big wish. We all have that. Let's put that wish over here for a second and let's just have fun. I think it's still important to have fun and dream and look ahead. So, what is the next animated movie wish? What's the next big thing on the list? You got your Grammy, you started an animated movie. What else is on Alessia's list now? What's the next big thing that you want to put into the universe?
Oh my gosh, so many things that I still would love to do. Let me think.
You don't have
Hmm.
to pick one. You got a big career ahead of you. You got
Well, thanks. Let me think. Okay, so the first thing, well, I mean, this is music related, but I've been writing a lot, and so I hope that I can make like my best album so far in this quarantine. That's my biggest wish because
Mm,
I just would I don't know. I'm just really excited to write. I'm really inspired, so I want to like beat all my other records creatively and feel proud of myself. And then I would
nice.
love to like travel to Brazil. It's been my dream to
Mm,
go there, and I know my fans have been wanting me to go there for years, and I have never had the chance to. But it's like one of my dreams to go to Brazil. So that's another
that's
thing
awesome.
I'm putting out there. Once this is all over, obviously.
Exactly. When this whole thing gets to wherever it's heading, and we all get there together, and everything's whatever normal is, then I look forward to you being able to make that trip. As do I'm sure a ton of your fans out there. I want to thank you so much again for hanging out, taking some time to do this weird thing that we're all pretending is normal, and I really appreciate it. And congratulations on the movie again. I want to remind everyone out there watching to check the movie out. It's going to be on Netflix this Wednesday, The Willoughbys. I also want to remind you, if you've been watching since the beginning, NoKidHungry.org is an awesome organization. Check
Yes.
them out as well and see if you could pitch in. Alessia, before we go, anything else you want to say to everybody before we get out of here?
I mean, I don't know, man. This is weird. It's a
Yep.
crazy time. Let's just all, fingers crossed that this will come out of this having learned something at the very least. It's the least we can do with everything going on. So, yeah, thanks for
Yeah, of
everything. Thanks for having me. And
course.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
hopefully
thank
this
you for
goes better.
being you and doing what you're doing. Keep on going. Stay safe. Stay inside. Everybody out there, wash your hands. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Wherever you are, hopefully it's at home. Make some noise and celebrate the great Alessia Cara here for hanging out with us. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.